Okay, so let's get going in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright everyone, welcome back. Thank you for tuning into iCCup Television. This is Railcoon with Elaine Sun with game number 2 between TLO and LoveCD from the Gigabyte StarsWar 6. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you do check out Gigabyte, the sponsors for this tournament. Go to www.gigabyte.com. They're amazing providers of excellent motherboards used by a lot of really top-of-the-line companies. You can also order them yourselves if you're looking to build your own computer. They're just really top-of-the-end products. Their Killer series is great for gaming, so that's why it's the Gigabyte StarsWar 6 Killer. So definitely go and check them out. You can see that we are now on Tal'Darim Altar with TLO as the yellow Terran in the bottom right-hand corner, and LoveCD once again as the pink Protoss in the bottom left. LoveCD is up 1-0 so far over TLO. He did a really good job in that previous game of just going for a really strong gateway composition with a lot of really core upgrades. The Forge upgrades going 2 at a time out of Double Forge, getting that really quick charge, following up with Blink, and it caught TLO pretty much off guard. He was going for a really old school Marauder strategy that just didn't work very well against what LoveCD was doing. So curious to see what TLO is going to do here in the second game, now that he's seen what LoveCD threw at him in the first.
I feel like LoveCD did a great job of predicting the timings of TLO's build. Despite it being TLO, Terran does have, fairly predictable build timings, and if you see, 3-4 Marauders at the... I don't want to say the specific minute since I don't want to get it wrong, but he saw, too many Marauders at that time, and he just went with the composition needed to react, although I'm surprised, we see a lot of Protoss actually tech early against such bio-heavy builds, or just turtle up for a bit more. And timing bushes, we generally see a lot more sentry heavies, so it's really interesting to see a almost purely charged composition. Though he did have just a few sentries early on, where he did some great micro and actually took out a lot of TLO's Marines.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, when he's going for that charge lot composition, if he throws down a whole bunch of force fields, that's really going to be hurting his charge lots more than anything. So that frees up a lot of gas for him to be throwing into more upgrades. Teching, you could see at the end of the game he had some Immortals on the way to back up that great gateway composition because TLO was stuck pretty much just on Marauders. So he had great upgrades, he had Immortals on the way. He just did a really good job of assessing the situation and just flat out countering it. And now when we look over to TLO, he is going for a 2 racks opening, going for the reactor first, which is going to be usually a little bit more aggressive, but at the same time he does drop a bunker at the front door. So maybe he just wants to get a whole bunch of Marines early on, load up that bunker, and still go for a fast expansion. The 2 racks is popular because of the fact that you can go in a lot of different directions with it, and it's relatively safe in the early game. You can apply pressure on your opponent. There's just so many things you can do with this double racks opening. The main variation you're going to see is whether they go for the tech lab or the reactor first, and the reactor usually does mean they're going to try and apply pressure in the early game, but that bunker at the front is kind of throwing me for a loop, as it means he might not actually do that.
I think this was kind of not so much a 2 racks opening as a 1 racks into reactor into another racks, which generally goes into this 3 racks timing with, the 2 reactor, 1 tech lab. But he is actually getting concussive shell again, so planning to go for Marauders, except with a little bit more defensive in case there is, more another timing push, 4-gate, or some other kind of early Protoss pressure. Of course, these bunkers are free, so it's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, it literally costs nothing to build these bunkers, until the next patch, of course, because you can actually recycle them later on for full cost. This
is really interesting what's going on, because I think TLO, he did add the 3rd barracks, and he's got the bunker up front to make it look like he's going to expand. And LoveCD isn't falling for it, because at the same time he has 3 proxy gateways up at the top of the map, so he is going for a 4-gate strategy with 3 of the gateways hidden. He has a probe over here on, the watchtower, and a proxy pylon over by the other one, so he is in position to warp in a lot of units He's even going to see TLO moving out, so what he can do is he can leave these sentries, stalkers, and zealots at home to defend, and maybe warp in some zealots on this pylon, run straight into TLO's base, and go right after the economy. Well, he does have a nice force back at home to defend, so we'll see if he actually does opt to do that, but he did warp in some at home, so it looks like he's just going to straight up defend the 3 barracks play from TLO, try and crush it, and then go for the counterattack with his 4 gates.
Right, this force looks pretty good. I mean, I think that TLO would have to micro really well to do a lot of damage against this. The current forces, I think it's pretty even, but with the sentries and engaging on this, even though it's a large ramp, it is a ramp.
Yeah, LoveCD throwing down some force fields there, and he's not quite able to trap TLO. So you can see there's a one little gap. He almost trapped half the army, and now he's attacking up the ramp onto TLO. TLO killing quite a few of the units, including one of the sentries. Now out-microing these zealots and doing a pretty good job of it. Without any more force fields and the fact that they're now in the open grounds, TLO does have a better fighting chance here, but he's getting flanked by the units warping in on that proxy pylon. TLO's out in the center. He's trying to take as many of these stalkers with him as he can, which is a decent decision because that army is pretty much dead, but the problem is now he doesn't have anything to try and defend his base, so TLO just throws out the GG. He's caught completely off guard by those 3 warp gates, and even though he did manage to take out one of those sentries and a few of the zealots, LoveCD just kept on reinforcing with the 4 gateways and just overpowered him.
That was... I can't believe we've never seen that. Tal'Darim is so huge that I can't believe we have never seen that.
I mean, that's the thing that, you talk about, Protoss, the size of the map. They're not quite as concerned about it as other races. It's a really big map. They can still 4-gate with their proxy pylon quite effectively. I think the main twist is the proxy gateways. Way up there at the top of the map where they won't get scanned.
Like, I can't believe we've never seen gateways hidden across a map as huge as Tal'Darim.
Yeah.
Or at least I haven't seen it, and I watched a ridiculous amount of StarCraft 2.
I don't think I've seen it. Most players these days like to hide their gateways in their base. Like put one down in the bottom left, or one on the right, one by your nexus.
Stargates, and I've seen people hide robos. I've never seen people hide a 4-gate. You don't hide 4 gates, except he does.
I guess he's proving you wrong. I've seen people do that before, just not on this map. So it's an interesting strategy there by LoveCD.
It's not often we see someone make 4-gating exciting or interesting. 4-gate is no longer a twist for us, but then he made a twist again. I'm so excited. I'm kind of sad that there's no more in this series, though. Aww. I want to see more LoveCD games. I can't wait to see the next round.
Yeah, so give us a second to get everything set up for the next match. We're going to take a quick 3-minute break here, just so we can get everything set up, take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with the next series in StarsWar. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, so if you need a moment to grab something to drink, now is the perfect opportunity. And we'll be back in just a few with the next match.
Check your Skype messages. I'm told you should go and make sure you saw the message.
Okay, hang on. Why didn't that work? Oh.
Next series will not be Demaga vs. Todd. That has been postponed. Not entirely sure when it will be played. Hopefully it'll actually be cast tomorrow, but we have had Jenner vs. MC moved up. The next matchup will actually be MVP Genius versus Gigabyte Love TT.
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the Skype message.
Did he actually play Fruit Dealer in the round of 32? Because I remember it was being Fruit Dealer, but the tournament page, I think, said NST.
Who? LoveCD?
LoveCT.
No, LoveCD played ST, LoveTT played Fruit Dealer.
Oh, right. Right, okay. That was the last matchup. Oops. Yes, wow.
Just getting a little bit
Chinese
confused.
players took out the two best Korean Zerg aside from July. Oh, I'm sad. Because, I'm a huge fan of ST. Winning Zerg when everyone was like, Imba world, why does my joints hurt all the time? Takes a GSL. Not to mention, in the running for a second GSL win. Everyone's going to be like, oh, Zerg isn't underpowered. Look at ST. He's winning everything.
Alright, so give me a second. I do have to go grab my food off the counter so it doesn't get put away. And then I'll be ready to start the next match. So we'll be right back in just a minute. We've got MVP Genius versus LoveTT. It's going to be awesome. I'll be right back.
Not many Zerg have survived into this next round. In round 1, we saw Fruit Dealer, Check Prime, Fox Moon, and I Am Nesty taken out. Demaga, in fact, Demaga and Maro, I think, are the only surviving Zerg into the round of 16. Even Sen was 2-0'd by ST Ace. So yeah, apparently not a very Zerg-friendly tournament. Oh yeah, and Liquid Ret was 2-1 by NS Ososan. Those were actually some really exciting games. The Czech Prime versus Show games were rather incredibly long, but San versus Ret was really interesting. San had some cool tactics. He even pulled out a cannon rush in Game 3 against Ret. Ret is pretty scary. He dominated San pretty hard, but the cannon rush was incredibly effective because he did fake it with two scouting probes.
I'm just messing with the sound settings here just a little bit because still trying to tweak them because for some reason my sound got all messed up. I don't know what happened.
Maybe your sound card melted.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it didn't melt.
I just like to make the joke about your computer parts melting all the time now.
Yeah, after my graphics card exploded. Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, it didn't actually explode. I mean, you still got the magic smoke.
Alright, so, I don't know, should we talk about what happened in this match beforehand or afterwards? Because there's kind of some special circumstances.
Maybe we should do it before so we're not all disappointed after the first game.
Yeah, okay, so we'll go over the pre-game and then we'll do that at the start of the game, I guess, so people know what's coming. Sorry, I'm still tweaking with my settings and moving things around, trying to get the sound set up right, because for some reason StarCraft is just quieter today. I don't know.
Maybe you should stop overclocking so hard, or whatever it is you do that's just so tough on computer parts.
I'm not even overclocked.
That's sad. I overclock pretty hardcore, but I'm also very nice to my computer and buy extremely expensive heatsinks.
Yeah.
Top of the line, #1 benchmark heatsinks, because I want my stuff to last as long as possible. Because I adore my i7 CPU too much to let it die.
Alright, so we are going to be getting started here in the next series here in just a few minutes, guys. Got MVP Genius against LoveTT. As you can see on screen, Genius did take out Moon. Really good Zerg player on his way here. He's really good Terran. In case you're not familiar, he's won a GSL and the BlizzCon... No, not Genius. That was MVP. Wrong MVP. I do that all the time. He did win the StarCraft 2010 BlizzCon tournament, the World Championship there, and in the March GSL did beat MVP 2-0. So he's a really strong Protoss player. On the other side of the field, we have LoveCD from Gigabyte.we, the Chinese clan, and he defeated Fruit Dealer on his way here. Apparently, back in Brood War, he managed to take a game off of Stork. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was pretty big deal. I mean, his success was kind of sporadic, like almost every other Fortnite, but he was capable of taking out huge players like Stork. That's one of his crowning achievements, though. Alright, so only 3 of the 9 Zerg in the tournament have made it to round 2. Of course, one of those 3 was E.G. Idra, who did get a walkover over IM MVP because of GSL time conflicts.
Yeah, that was quite disappointing. It would have been a really good match, but the main thing is we've had conflicts with other players, but unfortunately with the way it worked out with him was he was scheduled on the last day of matches for the round of 32, so when he had a time conflict they couldn't delay it, which is just really unfortunate.
Right, it was the last match day.
So they didn't really have any other options. They just have to advance Idra instead, and he's now going to be in the round of 16 waiting on his first match. So we do have Genius versus LoveCD. I've got everything loaded up. Are you ready to go?
Is kind of known for being really creative. Like, he's been featured on the Day 9 Daily for you know unseen PvZ builds in the past. So maybe we'll see some very innovative PvP or PvP out of him today. Of course, it's kind of difficult to be innovative in PvP unless you're White Raw.
Oh, I mean, basically, innovating in PvP means staying away from 4-gate, and that can be dangerous. Top-level Protoss players have shown us that really top-of-the-line Blink Micro can overcome 4-gate, and it means that you can stay away from that and even do really successfully, but it has to be perfect Blink Micro. If you make one bad decision with your Blink, you lose. So it is very high skill cap, it's tough to do. And we'll see if either player goes for that, because it's been becoming more popular in Korea in this matchup. So, curious to see how PvP's going, like as a matchup in China, in the way that we see LoveCD play.
Right, I'm really hoping that I don't know, the chances of 4-gate versus 4-gate are pretty high, but yeah, like you said, Blink Stalker builds have actually been formulated to basically beat 4-gate every time if you don't screw up your micro.
Yeah, that's the big if there.
If you don't push out too early.
Like, it can beat a 4-gate every time if you don't make a bad decision with your Blink, and that's the really tough part for people who are trying to emulate that build. People who are watching a Korean player do that, they see, oh my god, they beat 4-gate with Blink, okay, I'm just going to do that,
well,
and then...
You also have to have really good timing and game sense, because if you push out, 2 rounds of units too early, 2 rounds of gate units too early, then you can lose, even with, such a solid composition.
Yeah, so it is very difficult. I'd expect at least one of these players to do it in this match. We'll just see when or how often, because in a best of 3 with, a really good Korean player involved, the Blink build is becoming just sort of one of those skills you need to have if you're going to be a top-level Protoss. And I don't know. We're really curious to see how these builds are going to go. Should be ready to get started here in just a second. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so let's get